Well, it's very important to show a body of work, and you do that by having an exhibition. It sort of gives people an idea of where you're going and yourself too. I mean, to see it all hung, and it's a good way to analyse what you're doing. And I know the money's sort of boring to talk about, and it's necessary to sell so that you can buy more materials and so on. But I think it's a real bonus that if somebody puts their hand in their pocket and buys something you've created. I think that's amazing that happens to me. Well, the cottage is in the Wimmera, but I've always loved that flat countryside. I know it's got hills in it and so on. It's just got that wonderful sensation about it for me. And I love it. I love being there and, with the dry grass, the ochre grass. And then you might get a thunderstorm, and the odour from that, the smell of the grass with the damp rain, making it damp, is just absolutely marvellous. So that's why I like being there. But it's inspirational countryside.
Why do you choose to paint landscapes that are degraded by human activity?
It's all taken for granted, and we don't do a lot about it. So, yes, so I've had people comment without any previous conversation with them on that very aspect. Why are your landscapes so barren? And I said, well, have you ever looked at the Wimmera or the Mallee? Seriously. Yeah. And then around that you get pockets of wonderful outcrops like the Grampians and so on, which I also enjoy painting, and Kakadu, and Kimberley and so on. This is a landscape that's only a couple of 100 yards from my front door up there, down a laneway. And I love coming down here and just hanging over the gate and staring across to the Grampians, which are way in the distance. They're covered by smoke at the moment. It's so flat and beautiful, particularly in the evenings or the mornings. I like the contrast between the country and the city. I paint in both places, but one's an inspiration place and the other's stimulating in terms of social activities and so on.
Do you have previous sketches of this one?
No, I don't sketch everything. I do, once I get something going though, I might try and elaborate on the painting through a sketch or two.
I noticed that this painting's got a lot more greens and blues that aren't sky.
Compared with
previous ones.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're right. I think it's to do with the drought breaking over the last year or so. Colouring my work with cooler colours, the influence around the Wimmera, it is so green. It's just incredible compared with previous years. So it has had an influence, there's no question. So I'm turning it into more of a romantic interpretation of the landscape, a bit of poetic license, where it can be really beautiful too. Should I talk about this? This picture is obviously indicating further north somewhere with that Ayers Rock look. But, it's amazing how much contrast there is in the colours when rain happens and the green grass shoots up amongst the orange and red earth.
And things start flowering, so you get yellows
yes.
and whites, all sorts of colour. I was just observing the layers of work on this piece. So,
Well, yes, there's lots of underpainting there, which is what I like to do, to throw a major section of the painting up, and also this area here where it's very much textured, and then layered work on top of that. There's probably 5 or 6 layers of paint on this. A lot of painting's accidental in terms of picking up a brush and making marks. I mean, sometimes, I know you've always got the hand on the brush, but sometimes things happen with paint and between paint and canvas that you weren't expecting, and that's exciting. So you can develop pictures from that point of view, and very often it is stimulating and creates a bit of a new dimension in the way you work.
so
Perhaps by accident.
yeah. What you're happy with in the end can be quite different from how you saw it at the beginning.
Absolutely, yeah. A painting can change so much and perhaps go in many thousands of different directions while you're working on it. So you've got to be able to try and stick to that memory base that you felt you would like to portray or express, and see what happens. But yes, it's always changing, sometimes disastrously and sometimes excitedly. In the Wimmera you get these outcrops of rocks and this flat landscape, and I really love it. I've seen that there's lots of rounded hills and stuff which make it really gentle, but then you get this sort of very sharp outcrop. I should be going back and looking at it now. I wanted to make those ridges through there a bit more stronger. Not too much more. I'll just slide it straight across, Liz.
How long ago was this painted?
Probably 4 years. It's called Tank, Haystack and Hill. It's to do with the drought period and the ochreish grass. was an extension of a series of paintings that I did called Paddock Fire. I saw a guy one night take a burning tyre, drag a burning tyre behind his tractor to burn off an old crop paddock. And so I had this lit cross in the night in paddocks, and it was really quite something, and it was so strong and powerful an image that I did a series of pictures. But it's the flatness and the harshness of the landscape, that's what I like. In the middle of summer, you know, you can hear a blowfly at 100 metres, and you might see a bearded dragon scurrying across the road, the hot road, in 42-degree heat. It's just got that wonderful sensation about it for me. Blue Edge. It's a Wimmera inspired image set against a river. And I was pleased with the architecture in the picture and the colour combination and so on. Had a nice feeling, so I developed it a bit more, and it's reflecting something like summer after rain, water, golden grass, and a dryish landscape. This image is called Golden Black. It's 180 centimetres square, and it was an image that came to me as I was driving towards Kakadu last year. A wonderful contrast between the ochreish golden grasses and the distant pond and the black rock hills and structures, ancient structures behind this gold. It was a really wonderful, powerful image, so it immediately was set into oil paint on canvas for me, and that's the result. I find that the older I get, the more abstract my paintings become. It's just exciting that each new canvas that goes up in front of me, you know, does become easier to paint, but more difficult to develop an interpretation of what you want to say. So I'm not a Fred Williams or Ian Fairweather. I'm a Neville Pilven, and hopefully that might say something different from those guys, I don't know.